In this video, we're going to cover how to work with programs that are not integrated with Shotgun. So let's start. As always, step one is start the Shotgun desktop application, and then make sure you're pointing at the right URL, which is magicmdc.shotgunstudio.com. It's the same as the website. Make sure you put in the right login credentials, which are the same as the website. Then you sign in. This allows your desktop, your native file system, to communicate with the Shotgun site. Step two, let's log into Shotgun. Okay, so now you'll see the projects that you're assigned to. So the first thing is identifying what your tasks are. So the most immediate way to get to that is by clicking on My Tasks. In case you're curious to see what's going on in the general production, you can go into the project itself by clicking on the project name. Here you'll see an activity stream of all the latest activity. Here you'll see the people who are on your project. You should have a few more, at least like 30 to 40 or 50 in terms of how big your team is. Um, and then here you would be able to see the general um, status of the film by looking at the tasks and their statuses and who's assigned. This is very low activity as it's a very uh, I guess it's a demo project. It doesn't have a lot of activity assignments and statuses set. But once things are rolling, these will all be lit up, assigned, etc. And then you can just take a look to get a bird's eye view of what's going on with the film in general, what's happening with the sequences in particular, um, and then what's happening with the shots. But you might just want to be laser focused on assets. You've got your assignment, you need to do your work, all that stuff is cool, but you really want to understand how to get your work done. And you can't look at the Photoshop integration video, you can't look at the Maya integration video because you're working in ZBrush, or you're working in Toon Boom, or you're working in Storyboard Pro, or you're working in After Effects, Premiere, uh, files that are not integrated. So this is how you would do that work. So it's a general concept. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm assigned to this dog character model. But let's say, for example, I want to do some work in ZBrush or Adobe Premiere for whatever reason. Actually, the reason is that this computer doesn't have ZBrush, so it does have Premiere. So I just want to give you an example of using a non-integrated software and how to fit it into the pipeline that is otherwise automated. So again, since you've successfully logged into the Shotgun desktop app, the first thing you want to make sure is that this taskbar icon, click on it and go into the project. That's going to load the configuration for your pipeline. If you don't do that, everything else won't work. So once you do that, you'll see the applications that are integrated. So here we see we have Maya and Photoshop, but we don't have Adobe Premiere, which I'm using for this example. Insert, Toon Boom, ZBrush, After Effects as needed. Same process. So what you would do, whatever task it so happens to be, it might be, for example, you were assigned the film, the storyboard, right? So we could even do it in the respect to this task here. So I'm going to go back to assets. There is one big gotcha. This menu that you see here is only enabled because we signed into the Shotgun desktop application, but it does not work in the context of film. It'll work in the context of sequence. Like, here's what I mean. So if I go to sequence and I go to a task and I right click, I have menu options. Like, I can show the files in the file system. But if I go to films, I will not have these menu options. It's going to be retrieving all day until it finally says, I couldn't find anything. So the reason is because it requires some scripting and like I guess a little bit of engineering work in the pipeline configuration. These are customizations for the templates for the Magic Shotgun projects, and we just didn't have the resources to do that level of engineering. But thankfully, we have it for sequences, shots, and assets. So the point being that if you're working on something that doesn't have those integrations that allow you to launch to the correct folder, that just means you're going to manually have to go to the correct folder. So look at your, speak to your production manager or your instructor if you want any specific indication of what folder you should be using. So going back to the example with assets, what you would do is right click here, show in file system, and this will actually show you the folders where you're going to be creating files. So here you see it opened. So it took me to Magic Shotgun Demo Film 2019 Assets Character Dog. So it took me to the right place. And now I know I need to, here's where the automation stops and your thinking has to start as far as where things are going to go. So you know you're in the modeling step. So we come back over here. So okay, we go into the modeling step. We know we're going to do work, so we go into work. And there's a difference between publish and work. Publish is files that are going to be used by the production. So once you've submitted something for a review and it's been approved, you move that file over into publish, and that's the one that the production will be using. But meanwhile, you're going to be doing work here. So what you're going to do is you see integration automatically created a Maya and a Photoshop file. So you just create the folder that you need to for doing your work. So this is where the flexibility comes into play. You're really working normally, creating folders and files, but you're just putting it in the right place. So let's say we were doing Premiere. So we just create a folder for Premiere, and then we can copy this path, so when we start Premiere we'll create the project here. So let's launch Premiere. And let's create a new project. We're going to put it in that directory I copied and select that folder. Then we're going to name it to the how we've been instructed to name it. I'm assuming it's going to have at some point it's going to have your name. So I'm going to say artist1, or sorry, artist2, because that's my name in the context of this demo. Video model test, whatever that may mean. But I hope you get the idea. And let's pretend all of this is perfectly correct, and we okay, and then we create our project, and then we start our work, we do our Premiere work, and we start saving. Now we're going to have to manually version the files. So if I want to create another version like a snapshot, I would just have to make a copy and wait for the system to make said copy. Did I just, okay, I guess I have to paste it. There we go. And then I would probably have to do here's where naming conventions would come in. So we can just mirror what the automation does. Say, okay, so my original one was version 001, and this new one will be 002. So then we're manually versioning our files, and when it's time to publish, we can use the Shotgun application to publish. So here's how we can publish independent applications or independent files. So let's say the version 2 of the file, this could be a ZBrush file instead of a ZBrush folder. This could be a Toon Boom Harmony file. This could be After Effects, etc. Anything that's not in the integration. And then we just grab the file and drop it here, and then just we could create a screen grab if we had something here that we wanted to showcase. We could create a screen grab of it. Obviously this makes no sense, but I just want to show you what you can do. Let's say Premiere file for the win, and then we go ahead and obviously you'll put a better message here, hopefully more informative, and then we say publish. And then what that's going to do, let's see if it worked. No. So we have to basically replicate this process here as well. Go into publish, create a new folder, Premiere, and then copy the file that we want to publish. So publishing means I want the production to use this file. This is the file that was reviewed, and if it's been approved, this is the file the production should use. I'm not going to touch this file. It's never going to change. It's always going to be in this state. So it's a stable place to reference and look at for the production. If you don't need to publish, let's say for example it's a ZBrush workflow, you never need to put things in publish. You just, you're going to be exporting OBJs and then working finally in Maya, and what you'll publish is the Maya model. So maybe your ZBrush work stays here. So this is how you would use Shotgun for doing such things. And for creating a version, it's actually going to be very similar for how to do it for Maya. Maybe you can create a video or a playback or something like that of some video that you wanted to show. You could do a screen grab, and then you would just manually create a version, which is something for review. The easiest way to create a version is to come into the model or the task that you're working on, click on the task name, and then click on versions related to this task, and then create a new version. Then what you would do is you would drag the video or browse to the video that you want to include for that version, put it there, give a description. When you drag the file, the name automatically populates, and then you also want to make sure to add your name. So artist2. And then you would click create version, and then the version would be available. I made another video regarding how to review things for Shotgun, which explains versions in a little bit more depth. So that would be the general workflow for non-integrated apps. In general, you find the right place in the production folders to create the particular file, and then if it's associated to an asset, if it's associated to a sequence, or associated to a shot, and then you would put it in that respective folder. Right now this directory is empty, but it'll be populated once production has started, and you just make sure to put it in the most relevant place and work in communication with your production manager in order to get that done.